So we want to go to Regional 1 now. Hopefully, Brad Broders is there for us. And Brad, I understand you're going to be able to give us some information, some details on any victims, I guess, who were taken to Regional 1 after being shot or caught up in this rampage?
Yeah, Richard, we're just wanting to spread out across Shelby County and the Memphis area. We're here at Regional 1 because obviously this is the region's trauma center. As you can see behind me, you can see that there's a lot of police activity here at Regional 1 next to the ambulance bay. This is on par with what you would see when a law enforcement officer is shot or injured. I've unfortunately, in my 7 years here, been on this street many times for such an incident. But with this active shooter now in custody, looking behind me right now here at Regional 1, this scene with a police activity behind me is on par with when a law enforcement officer is shot or injured. Obviously, we're trying to identify if any other injured people are treated here. I've been on scene here for less than 5 minutes, but as you can see, it's still a very active scene with a lot of law enforcement here at Regional 1 Medical Center. We're just arrived on scene. We're trying to gather more details from Regional 1, but we just want to make sure we're covered in all places across the Memphis area. Just arrived on scene here at Regional 1 Medical Center, but as you can see, a very active law enforcement presence behind me in wake of this active shooter situation earlier in the evening. That active shooter now in custody, according to Memphis police. Richard.
All right, very good. And Brad obviously only been there 5 minutes, as he says, so he's had not enough time, barely enough time to turn on the camera, let alone find out information on what, if any, victims may have been taken there. But obviously we'll let you have a break now, Brad, so you can try and ascertain that and see if that is in fact the case. And hopefully we'll be hearing some information about where victims may have been taken as well once Memphis police issue their statement, which we hope is coming at any moment, or at least that's how it was promised to us. And we do expect that to come pretty quickly. Okay, so let's see, we're approaching, I should say, the 10 o'clock hour. Before we restart here, I want to go to Yvonne one last time. Yvonne Thomas has been our reporter on the scene there at Lakeview and Sedgwick, I think you said, Yvonne, where Ezekiel Kelly was apprehended this evening and was taken away in custody.
Yes, yes, yes. A lot going on right now, Richard. As you can see, it looks like crews are getting ready to leave. Actually, large trucks, large tank-like trucks are leaving where we are right now at Lakeview and Sedgwick. Definitely still an extremely active scene here. Again, we are about 800 feet away from where that shelter-in-place order was a few minutes ago near Ivan and Hodge. About 800 feet is where we are from where that scene is. But again, look at all these tanks and these cars that are leaving, all of these vehicles. I want to make it very clear, we have not seen the shooter, but again, we were told he was apprehended nearby in this area. Again, Blue Light Lounge is right behind, it was right in front of us, really, to the left of us, and that area is looking to clear out as well. We're going to keep you updated as we learn more details. Again, no news right now from Memphis Police about whether or not they're going to speak to us here at this location, or if they're going to choose another place, or what that will be in the next few minutes or maybe few hours. We're going to keep you updated as we learn more. But again, very active here and a lot of moving parts, as you've been mentioning all night, Richard.
It was interesting to see so many armored vehicles leave there. That is something you don't see every day. But it does look like they are de-escalating quite a bit now, as you see a lot of them pull away from there. But yeah, Blue Light Lounge, that name has never been more appropriate than it was tonight, because there's been plenty of blue lights around the Blue Light Lounge tonight. Rudy Williams is joining me now as we approach the 10 o'clock hour. Rudy, it's been quite a night, as you know, and the kind that is hard to describe. As long as you and I have been in Memphis and covering news and crimes in Memphis, nothing quite like this before.
It is, Richard. You know, I've been sitting in the newsroom and making calls and making contacts with people in the community here. And just as it was a scary situation for everybody out in the streets, and I'll talk about those stories that I've heard, it was a frantic situation for us in the newsroom as well, especially with the week that we've had that you spoke about earlier with all the other incidents that have happened. And even for us in this business, sometimes it's very difficult to believe what we're hearing when we first hear it. And we are set out to do our jobs and bring you the latest information as our viewers and our audience, and keeping you safe. And that's what we've been on air doing all this evening, making sure that people around the city and the surrounding areas know exactly what's going on, because as this timeline has developed, businesses closed down, Businesses went on lockdown, looking after their patrons and the people that are there with their businesses. So it's very important that we make sure in these situations that we keep our audiences up to date and very well informed on what's happening. I spoke with several people that are members of my church. My church is in Midtown on Peabody, and they were in choir rehearsal. They went into lockdown there, sheltered in place. As many people who could, who live in the parish or the neighborhood, get home very quickly, get home safely to their families, they did so. That was the case, as you can imagine, around this city, because this is Wednesday night, after all, and Wednesday night is a night for prayer meeting, Bible study, and those sorts of things that happen at churches traditionally in our cities. So there were plenty of people that were out and about. A friend of mine had a mother who was in Midtown at the moment. She was actually in Overton Square at a restaurant, and immediately upon hearing the news got into her car and drove to South Memphis to get to safety. So lots of those stories that have happened during the course of this evening with this incident unfolding right in front of us, Richard.
Well, you bring up the church situation. Of course, Wednesday night is a big church night, and you know, we were talking to Brittany Moncrief, our reporter, who was at a restaurant in Midtown, talking to a friend who was at a restaurant in East Memphis. You know, it was a massive impact on tens of thousands of people. We'll never be able to get to all the stories. There will be so many, but it shows you the breadth of this particular crime and this rampage and the toll it took on a lot of people who just had nothing other to do than go about the business of their day, and had everything interrupted by one person. Let's go to Brad Broders, so I understand. We talked to him earlier. He was at the Regional 1 trying to get some information. I understand you have something for us, Brad?
Yeah, Richard, just in the last couple of minutes, just to hear, I've been here about 5 to 10 minutes, but what I've observed right now is you can see a lot of law enforcement guarding the ambulance bay. They are armed with longer weapons than typically you might see. A lot of police presence here at Regional 1. You can hear kind of off here on Jefferson, there has been some screaming, some emotion. I don't know if that by any chance is friends or loved ones of any of the victims affected in tonight's active shooter situation. That active shooter, again, is now in custody. However, you can hear kind of off a little bit away a lot of, there's been some screaming, some crying, and law enforcement remains very active on this scene. You can see behind me a lot of armed guard law enforcement here. Like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Richard, typically the law enforcement presence you see would be if a law enforcement member was injured or shot in the line of duty, but with what this city has been through tonight, this active law enforcement presence at Regional 1 is different than you might normally see for a shooting or shootings. But with this active shooter situation that has had Memphis on edge throughout the evening, active shooter now in custody, thankfully, but still you can see there's a lot of just the reinforcements here, precautions at Regional 1. We're not sure if any other victims will arrive here, if all the victims affected by tonight are here, waiting on those details. But Richard, that's the situation right now at Regional 1. But again, a heavy law enforcement presence. I can hear crying, emotion in the distance. So again, not sure if that's connected to anything related to the active shooter tonight, but still a very active scene and emotional and volatile at the same time, Richard.
All right, thank you, Brad. It is 10 o'clock.